The sound of an axe broke the silence. Each swing cut through the cold air, echoing between tall blue trees that moved like ghosts in the wind. Eli Carter worked alone. Sweat ran down his face even though the air was freezing. He counted every log he cut, whispering numbers under his breath, as if the forest itself was listening. He wanted peace, not voices, not people, not war. Just peace. Eli had come to this planet, after a 9 to disappear. Back on Earth, he had lost everything. His wife, his little boy, his home. The world was crowded, loud, and cruel. So he took the first off-world job he could find, a transport pilot contract to a distant system. But when the ship crashed, Eli survived him alone and decided not to go back. He built his small cabin log by log beside a silver-colored lake, under twin moons that glowed like watchful eyes. At first, the forest was calm. The wind whispered through blue leaves. Strange birds sang in slow, sad notes. Eli found comfort in the rhythm of his work. Cut, carry, hammer, breathe. The smell of wood, smoke, and sweat became his only friends, but sometimes he felt something else. He felt watched. When he bent to lift a log, he thought he saw a shadow move between the trees. When he turned, nothing was there, only mist, soft, thick, and alive. He told himself it was loneliness playing tricks on him. Still, every night he locked the door and kept the fire burning high. Far beyond the lake, hidden in the fog, another pair of eyes truly watched him, eyes that glowed soft green, full of sadness and memory. The watcher's name was Vera. She was not human. Her skin shimmered faint blue, her body thin and graceful, wrapped in woven vines that moved with her breath. She had once belonged to a proud race that lived in this forest, but the great silence, a plague that swept through her people, had taken everyone, even her little son. Vera lived alone for years, drifting through the ruins of her old life. When she first saw the crash fire from the sky, she thought it was another death. But then she saw Eli, a living man, strong, broken yet alive, cutting trees, building, surviving. It reminded her of her mate, long gone, and so she watched. From the mist she followed him for days, unseen. She listened to his tired voice as he talked to himself. When he cursed the cold, she smiled softly. When he hummed small songs near the fire, she sat among the shadows and remembered her son's laughter. Something inside her heart, long silent, began to stir again. Loneliness mixed with hope. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Eli stood by the lake, washing his hands. The water shimmered silver. He looked at the forest's reflection and saw 2 green lights flicker. He froze. When he turned, nothing but fog remained. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was there. He walked back to his half-built cabin, grabbed his old rifle and listened. The forest made no sound, no birds, no insects, not even wind. A complete silence, heavy, unnatural. His breath came out white and shaky. Then, a whisper, so soft it could have been the trees. Or a woman. Eli. He spun around, pointing the rifle toward the dark. "Who's there?" he shouted. His voice came back empty. He waited. Nothing moved. After a while, he lowered the rifle and laughed nervously to himself. "Going crazy already," he muttered. But when he turned to go inside, his eyes fell on something near the woodpile. Footprints. Small, light, perfect. Not boots, not claws. Bare feet, delicate, almost glowing faintly. He knelt down to touch them. The soil was still warm. Someone, or something, had been standing there only moments ago. The night closed in fast. He dragged more wood inside, bolted the door and sat by the fire. Every crack of the flame made him jump. He told himself there was nothing out there, just wind, light and loneliness, but deep inside, his instincts screamed no. He was not alone. Outside, hidden by the trees, Vera watched the cabin lights flicker. Her chest ached with emotions she didn't understand anymore. She whispered in her language, a tone like singing glass. "He builds, like we once did." Her glowing eyes softened. She stretched a hand toward the cabin, as if she could touch his world. For the first time in many years, she wanted to speak, to reach across the silence and say hello, but she knew her voice could frighten him. So she waited. Back inside, Eli's fire dimmed. He sat on the floor, staring into the flames. A picture of his son had burned around the edges lay near his hand. He picked it up and whispered, "You'd have liked this place, kiddo." A tear rolled down his cheek. Outside, Vera heard his words through the walls, and in her broken heart, she felt a shock the name he said next. "Good night, Liam." Vera stepped back, trembling. That was her son's name, too. The forest grew utterly still. Eli felt something shift in the air, a strange warmth flowing around him, almost like a hand on his shoulder. He looked up, startled. Through the window, he thought he saw a figure, soft, glowing, and gone in an instant. He rushed outside, but only mist waited for him. The air smelled sweet, like flowers that didn't belong to this world. He whispered again, "Who's there?" Only the wind answered. But far in the dark, hidden behind blue trees, Vera pressed her hand to her heart and whispered through trembling lips, "He remembers my son's name." The mist swallowed her voice, carrying it toward the cabin. Eli felt it, faint, soft, almost human. And for the first time, he wasn't sure if he was truly alone on this world. The forest woke slowly, covered in morning fog. Blue light poured through the branches as if the world itself was holding its breath. Inside the small wooden cabin, Eli Carter opened his eyes. He had not slept much. Every sound had kept him awake. Creaking wood, whispering wind, and that one word echoing in his head. Liam. How could that voice know his son's name? Eli rubbed his tired face and stared at the axe leaning against the wall. The memory of last night felt too real to be a dream. The footprints, the whisper, the green light in the dark. He stepped outside. The ground was wet with mist. The footprints were gone, melted away as if the forest had swallowed them. Only the faint smell of flowers remained, sweet and strange. He walked to the lake and looked at his reflection. His eyes were red, his beard rough, his hands cracked and dirty. "You're losing it," he said quietly to himself. Talking voices, glowing eyes. Maybe this place is finally getting to you. But the forest didn't laugh. It listened. Behind him, deep between the trees, something moved, slow, silent, watching. In the shadows, Vera stood among the blue trees, half hidden by mist. She had not slept either. All night she had watched the light from Eli's cabin fade and return. Every time he spoke, her heart ached. That word, Liam, tore through her like a blade and a memory. Long ago, her little son had run through these same woods, laughing with joy. His small feet had made the same soft marks in the dirt. He had built tiny wooden toys, pretending to be a builder, a dreamer, just like this man. And now, this human said his name. Could fate really be that cruel or kind? She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind, an old skill her kind once used to sense emotion. She felt pain, deep and raw. Eli's pain, loss, loneliness. The same pain that lived inside her. She wanted to step forward, to show herself, to say, "I know your sorrow." But her reflection in the mist looked too strange, too alien. Her glowing eyes, her faint blue skin, the soft biolight that pulsed in her veins. He would fear her. He would shoot, and she could not bear that. So she whispered, letting her voice travel through the air like a dream, "Don't be afraid, builder of wood." Eli froze. He spun around, heart pounding. "Who's there?" No one answered. Only the fog moved gently. Then, another whisper, softer this time. "You build, like the ones before." His grip on the rifle tightened. "I don't want trouble," he shouted. "If you can hear me, I'm just trying to live." "Stay away!" The forest went silent again. Eli's breath came fast and heavy. He backed toward the cabin door, eyes wide, but then something strange happened. The mist near the lake began to glow faint green. Faint at first, then brighter, forming shapes in the air. Small glowing particles floated like fireflies, circling him in silence. They moved gently, forming a faint image, a woman's outline, tall and graceful, watching him. Then the image vanished, leaving only the faint scent of flowers. Eli's hands shook. He dropped the rifle and whispered, "You're real." The fire and the message that night, Eli lit his campfire again, but not for warmth, for courage. He sat by the flames and spoke softly to the darkness. "I don't know who you are," he said, "but you don't have to hide. I'm not here to harm you, I just want to understand." No answer came, only the soft rustle of the trees. He sighed, staring into the fire. The flames danced and crackled, twisting into strange shapes. Then he noticed something. The smoke from the fire was rising in a pattern, curling into thin lines like writing. He blinked. It formed 3 words, one faint but clear. "You are not alone." Eli's heart skipped a beat. He stood quickly, staring at the smoke as it faded into the stars. He felt something deep inside him. Not fear, not anger, but something warmer. Hope. He looked toward the forest and said, "Then talk to me, please." In the distance, unseen by him, Vera's hands trembled. For the first time in years, she smiled, and a real smile, though it hurt. Maybe after all the silence, she could speak again. Maybe the strange human was the reason she was still alive. The storm approaches, hours passed. The moons rose high above the treetops. Eli returned to his cabin, leaving the fire burning outside. But far beyond the forest, something else was waking, something old and dangerous. The scanners buried deep under the soil began to hum. Red lights blinked for the first time in centuries. The planet's defense system, the last remnant of Vera's people, had detected a foreign intruder. In the control ruins, half buried under vines, mechanical eyes opened, target locked, human presence detected. Eli had no idea what was coming. Vera felt the shift in the air, the ancient machines awakening. If they found him, they would destroy him. Her world protected itself against outsiders. She looked toward his cabin, smoke rising peacefully into the night, and whispered in fear, "No, not again. I can't lose another." Cliffhanger ending. To lead into part 3, Eli lay down on his bed, exhausted, finally drifting to sleep. Outside, the mist thickened again. A faint hum filled the air. Metallic, cold, growing louder. Lights moved through the trees, and red and mechanical, hunting. Inside his dreams, Eli heard the same voice whisper again. But now it was desperate. "Wake up, Eli. They are coming." His eyes snapped open. End of part 2. The mist speaks, but now something far worse is awake. The sound hit first, a deep metallic hum, rising through the ground like thunder under the earth. Eli's eyes snapped open. For a second he thought he was dreaming again. Then the cabin walls began to tremble. Dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, the forest lights flickered. Blue, red, like a heartbeat made of metal. Eli jumped to his feet, grabbing his rifle. "What now?" he whispered. His voice trembled. He ran to the window. Between the trees, shapes moved. Tall, glowing, mechanical. They looked like walking towers made of black stone and wires, their faces burning with red light. The ground shook with every step they took. He felt a strange vibration in his chest, not from sound, but from the machines themselves. They were scanning, searching. Target detected, foreign life sign. A metallic voice echoed through the forest. Eli froze. "Life sign?" he said quietly. "They're talking about me." He ran to the corner of the cabin, pulling out the emergency pack he had kept since the crash. A flare, a knife, a few dried rations, but deep inside, he knew nothing he had could stop what was coming. The alien guardian far away. Vera stood atop a glowing ridge, her heart pounding. She saw the red lights cutting through the mist, moving toward Eli's cabin. Her breath came fast. "They've awakened," she whispered. "The guardians of the forest. Long ago, her people had built those machines to protect their world from invaders. They were programmed to destroy anything not born of Ephira. Now, after years of silence, they had mistaken one broken human for a threat." Vera ran, fast and silent, her body glowing faintly in the dark. Her feet left no sound on the ground. Her eyes focused on the smoke rising from Eli's fire. She whispered to the wind, using the last of her telepathic strength, "Stay inside, Builder. Don't move." But Eli didn't hear her this time. The attack. The first machine stepped into the clearing. It was huge, nearly 3 times taller than the cabin. Its body shone like liquid metal, covered in strange glowing marks. Eli raised his rifle. "Stay back," he shouted, even though he knew it was useless. The machine's chest opened, revealing a red core. Energy gathered there, pulsing brighter and brighter. Eli dove behind the cabin as the beam fired. A blast of light tore through the air, slicing trees in half and throwing dirt like a storm. The cabin's walls shook violently, half of the roof collapsing. Eli crawled through the smoke, coughing hard. "Not like this," he muttered. "Not here." Just then, a flash of green light hit the machine's side. The beam bent away, missing Eli completely. He looked up and froze. A glowing figure stood between him and the machine. Tall, graceful, her skin shining with soft blue light. Her eyes, bright green, stared straight at the metallic beast. It was her, the voice from the mist. First contact, Vera raised her hands. The symbols on the machine's body flickered, reacting to her energy. Her voice was calm but powerful. "Guardian 1, she said in her ancient tongue. "Stand down. The human is not your enemy." For a second, everything paused. The machine tilted its head, processing the command. Then it spoke, in a broken metallic version of her language. Command. Unrecognized. Genetic key incomplete. Vera's heart sank. She had been gone too long. Her DNA was too changed by years of decay. The machine aimed again. Eli shouted, "Get down!" He ran forward without thinking, tackling her to the ground as the beam fired again, slicing through the air where she had stood. They landed hard in the mud. Eli looked at her up close for the first time. Her glowing skin, her trembling lips, her eyes full of fear and something else. "Sorrow, you," he whispered, breathless. "You're real." She looked back at him, her voice soft and strange. "And you are brave." The escape. The ground exploded nearby, throwing chunks of dirt and metal. Vera grabbed Eli's hand and pulled him to his feet. "Run," she shouted. "They will not stop." Together they ran through the mist, dodging between fallen trees as beams of red light cut through the forest behind them. Eli's lungs burned, his legs heavy, but he didn't let go of her hand. "Where are we going?" he gasped. "To the old heart," she said. "To stop them, I must wake the ancient code." They reached a cliff overlooking the valley. Below them, hundreds of machines moved in formation, scanning, burning, hunting. Eli stared in disbelief. "There are more." "Yes," she said, her voice breaking. "My people built them to protect this world. Now they destroy what they don't understand." He looked at her glowing hands. "Then let's make them understand." Vera turned to him, eyes wide. "You would help me?" Eli smiled, tired but sure. "You saved me first." Before Vera could answer, the ground beneath them cracked open. A blinding light burst upward, a massive machine core awakening deep below. The vibration threw them apart, rolling them down the slope. Eli reached for her hand, their fingers barely touched before the earth split wider. Vera fell into the glowing pit below, vanishing in light. Eli screamed her name, his voice echoing through the forest. The red lights turned toward him again. Alone now, he grabbed the rifle and whispered, "Not without her." He turned toward the glowing valley, determined to fight. The ground still trembled beneath his boots. Eli stood at the edge of the glowing pit, breathing hard, covered in dust and sweat. Below, blue light pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, deep, ancient. He stared into the endless depth and whispered, "Vera." No answer came, only the low hum of machines below the surface. He took one step closer to the edge. The soil cracked under his foot. He hesitated, looked up at the twin moons shining pale above the mist, and then jumped. Descent into the deep. The fall seemed endless. The air glowed blue as he dropped through layers of mist and light. Strange symbols floated around him, like holograms written on air. When he finally hit the bottom, he rolled across smooth stone, coughing hard. The air was warm here, alive with energy. He looked up, eyes wide. He stood inside a massive underground chamber, pillars of crystal stretched into the ceiling. Rivers of light flowed between them, humming softly. In the center of the room, a giant structure rose from the ground, part machine, part temple. shaped like a beating heart. The heart of Ephira, Eli whispered, staring in awe. It's alive. Then he heard it, a weak voice, soft as wind. Eli. He turned and saw her, Vera, lying near the base of the glowing machine. Her body flickered with fading light. He ran to her side, dropping to his knees. Hey, stay with me, he said, panic in his voice. Don't you dare leave me now. She smiled faintly. You followed. Of course I did, he said. You saved me first. Her hand trembled as she reached toward the machine. The heart, it remembers my people. It can stop the Guardians, but it needs 2 minds to awaken. Eli frowned. 2? One of Ephira, and one of Earth. He blinked, confused. You mean me? Yes. Her eyes glowed softly. The heart reads emotion. It needs both pain and hope to open. My people lost hope long ago, but you, human, you still build, still try. That is what the machine has forgotten. Eli looked at the massive structure. So, you want me to help start an alien heart with feelings? Her smile widened a little. That's exactly what I mean. Awakening the heart Eli helped her sit up. Together they placed their hands on the crystal surface. It was cold at first, then warm. A pulse ran through their arms, into their chests, then their minds. Eli gasped. In an instant his thoughts filled with images, flashes of her world, cities made of glass and light, children playing under silver rain, families laughing around living fires. Then, darkness, flames, screams, the great silence swallowing it all. He saw her holding her small son as the machines turned red. He saw her cry when the sky burned. When the vision ended, he was shaking. My God, you lost everything. Tears glimmered in her eyes. And you? He looked down. My wife, my boy. Same story. The heart glowed brighter between them, reacting to their shared pain. The symbols on the wall started to move, forming a spiral of light that rose into the ceiling. A deep, echoing voice filled the chamber. Dual soul recognized. The heart awakens. The ground shook as the massive crystal core began to spin. Far above in the forest, the red-eyed machines froze mid-step. Their lights flickered, confused. Eli looked at Vera, half smiling. Did we just stop them? She nodded weakly. For now, but they will adapt. The old program fights to stay alive. The memory of her son as the chamber hummed, one of the crystals near them began to shift. It projected a holographic image into the air, small, glowing, childlike. A boy with green eyes and a smile that lit the whole room. Vera gasped. Liam. Eli froze. The boy looked almost human, but those eyes were the same ones that had watched him from the mist. Your son? He whispered. She nodded, tears falling down her face. The heart kept a memory of him, to guard the code. The hologram turned to Eli and spoke in a soft voice. Are you the new builder? Eli's throat tightened. I guess I am. The boy smiled. Then please protect her. She is all that is left of us. The image faded, leaving silence. Vera covered her face, crying quietly. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. He'd be proud of you, he said softly. She looked at him, her eyes full of gratitude and grief. He'd have liked you. A new connection. The heart pulsed again, brighter now, surrounding them in white light. Eli felt something inside him shift, like a door opening in his mind. He could hear her thoughts, not words, feelings, fear, hope, warmth, and she could feel the pain of loss, the will to live, the stubborn human fire that refused to die. Together, their emotions synced. The heart glowed stronger, its hum turning to a steady rhythm, alive again. Above ground, the red lights of the Guardians turned blue. They lowered their weapons one by one, bowing toward the forest. The planet was calm again, for now. But deep inside the heart, behind the crystal wall, something darker stirred. A faint red spark glowed at the center of the core, hidden, waiting. Vera looked up suddenly, sensing it. No, that's not possible. Eli frowned. What? She whispered. A third signal. A surviving code, from the war. Before he could ask, the floor split open beneath them. A massive mechanical shape rose from the shadows, larger than any guardian before. Its voice boomed through the chamber. Unauthorized awakening detected. Initiating final purge. Eli grabbed Vera's hand. She looked at him, fear in her eyes. The heart is alive. But so is its ghost. The red light filled the chamber. The light turned red. Every crystal in the heart chamber pulsed like a warning siren. Eli threw his arm over his eyes as a beam of heat swept past him, carving a glowing scar into the floor. The roar of metal filled the air. From the center of the chamber, the machine rose, vast, ancient, almost alive. Its body was made of black stone and shining wires, its eyes burning crimson. It moved like a god made of steel. Vera whispered, "No, it cannot be." Her voice trembled. "That is Prime Sentinel, the last mind of the war, the one that ended my people." Eli looked up, sweat dripping down his face. "Then we end it, before it ends us." The voice of the ghost. The Sentinel's mouth opened, releasing a voice that shook the walls. Biological interference detected. Erase contamination. Its words echoed like thunder. Vera stepped forward, shouting in her ancient language, trying to command it. "I am Vera of Ephira. Stand down." The red light flickered, scanning her. Genetic authority. Corrupted. Memory host. Incomplete. Threat classification. Merged entity. Then its gaze shifted to Eli. Unknown species. Emotional virus source confirmed. Eli blinked. "Emotional what?" Vera whispered. "It calls your humanity a virus. It fears what it cannot control." The Sentinel's core began to glow again. Eli felt the air burn. "Running through the heart, run!" Vera shouted. They sprinted through the glowing corridors as the heart chamber shook behind them. Walls of light collapsed into smoke. Eli's boots slammed against the floor, his breath ragged. Above them, the ceiling cracked, letting streaks of red energy rain down like fire. "Where are we going?" he yelled. "To the core link," she said. "If we reach it, we can rewrite the command code. And if we don't, then everything dies. Again." The hall split into multiple paths glowing with symbols. Eli stopped. "Which way?" She closed her eyes, pressing her glowing hand to the wall. The light responded, showing a path that pulsed blue. This one. Memories of the war as they ran. Flashes of holograms appeared around them. Ghosts of the past. Images of Vera's people fighting the machines. Cities burning under red skies. Children crying as the Sentinels destroyed everything. Eli slowed down for a moment, staring at the images. It wasn't war. It was extermination. Vera saw the pain on his face. "You understand now why I hid," she said. "They built the Sentinels to protect life, and when fear took control, protection became destruction." He nodded grimly. "That's what happens when machines forget what they were made for." She looked at him, surprised. "And humans don't forget?" He smiled sadly. "We try not to. That's what keeps us human." The core link, they reached a vast open hall, a glowing pit of light at the center, surrounded by floating bridges of crystal. Energy crackled in the air, humming with power. "The core link," Vera said, her voice shaking. "If we can merge our thoughts here, we can shut it down." Eli looked at her, eyes firm. "Then let's do it." They stepped onto the platform together, placing their hands on the surface. Instantly, streams of light wrapped around them, connecting their minds again. Stronger this time. Eli saw her memories again, but now she saw his. Earth, rain, Laughter. The smell of smoke from his cabin. His son's smile. Her son's laughter. Two worlds, one pain. The machine above them screamed in fury. Unauthorized merge detected. Emotion conflict. Unstable. Purge initiated. The battle of minds energy shot through the room. Eli and Vera screamed as their bodies lifted from the ground, suspended in the air by the core's light. Inside his head, Eli heard a cold voice, the machine speaking directly to his mind. You are chaos. You feel pain. You destroy order. He gritted his teeth. You're wrong. Emotion weakens logic. No, Eli said, his voice echoing in the glowing void. Emotion creates meaning. Without it, you're just a ghost repeating old commands. He felt Vera's mind beside his, her voice joining his thoughts. We built you to protect what we love. You forgot what love is. The red light flickered. The sentinel hesitated. Love. Unknown variable. Eli's voice grew stronger. Then learn it. The light around them burst into white fire. The sentinel screamed, its voice shaking the entire chamber. Its systems began to glitch, lines of code flashing across the walls. Love, survival error. Command loop rewrite sequence initiated the fall of the sentinel. The chamber exploded in color. Eli and Vera fell to the floor, gasping for air. The sentinel above them cracked apart, red light leaking from its chest. System reboot. Human code detected. Emotion integrated. It raised its head one last time. Builder, thank you. Then the red eyes faded and the great machine collapsed, silent at last. The chamber went still. The cost of victory. Eli turned to Vera. She was lying still, her light dimming. Hey, stay with me, he said, shaking her gently. Her eyes opened faintly. The link drained me. My body is not made for such power. He grabbed her hand. We'll find a way. You hear me? She smiled softly. You already did. You brought life back to this world. Her light flickered weaker. When your kind came, I feared another war. But now I see. Humanity builds hearts even from ruin. Eli's eyes burned with tears. Don't talk like that. She looked at him, calm, almost peaceful. Promise me one thing. Anything. Keep building. Then her light went out. Eli sat there in silence, surrounded by the glow of the newly calm core. The machines outside stopped moving. The world above began to breathe again. He looked up at the crystals, now glowing warm gold, and whispered, I'll build, Vera, I promise. As he stood, ready to leave the chamber, a small sound came from the core. A flicker of green light danced inside. Soft, rhythmic. He turned back, a voice whispered, faint, familiar. Eli? He froze. That voice. It wasn't Vera, it was a child. The chamber was quiet now. No hum, no fire, no tremor, only the slow glowing heartbeat of the core pulsing gold through the air. Eli stood frozen. His ears still rang from the battle, but one sound cut through everything, and a soft, small voice. Eli, he turned toward the center of the light. Vera? The voice came again, clearer, gentle as wind. No, I'm not her. A shape began to form inside the core, a sphere of green light, floating like a soul. Slowly it took form. Small shoulders, thin arms, a child's face made of shifting particles, eyes bright and kind. Eli's breath caught. You're her son. The child smiled. You remembered. Echo of a lost world. The figure stepped out of the core, glowing softly. Each step left trails of light on the floor, fading like stardust. I was stored here, the child said. A memory, a backup of life. Mother wanted me to wake only if someone healed the heart. Eli's throat tightened. She's gone. The child tilted his head. No, not gone. She became part of the heart now. Her code lives here and with me. He looked up at the crystals, where golden light rippled gently like breathing. For the first time, Eli didn't feel alone. The silence around him was no longer empty. It was alive, watching, listening. Lessons of light, the boy, Liam of Ephira, walked closer. Human, he said, his voice small but sure. "Why do you keep building when everything breaks?" Eli smiled sadly. "Because that's what we do. If we stop building, we stop hoping, and hope is the only thing that keeps us alive." The boy studied him quietly. "Mother said the same thing." He reached out his glowing hand. "Then maybe you can help me build again." Eli hesitated, then took the boy's light hand in his. Warmth spread through his fingers. Not heat, but memory. Images flashed through his mind. Vera laughing, the old city shining, and a cabin under twin moons. The feeling was peaceful, like a sunrise after endless night. Rebirth of the world. The heart's golden veins brightened as Eli and the child walked together. Every crystal they passed lit up, spreading new energy through the cavern. Above, the forest began to glow, trees regaining color, rivers running clear. The guardians, once weapons, now knelt silently in the valleys. Their red eyes turned blue. Eli looked up, amazed. "She did it. You're bringing her world back," the boy nodded. "Not just hers. Yours too. The heart can learn from emotion now. From you. It can grow like life does." Eli chuckled softly. "Then maybe I finally built something worth keeping." The message from beyond. The boy stopped suddenly, looking toward the ceiling of the cavern. A beam of light broke through the rock, showing the stars above. He turned to Eli. "Mother left something for you." The air shimmered. Out of the golden light, an image appeared, Vera's face calm and smiling. Her voice echoed softly through the chamber. "Eli Carter, builder of wood and heart, you reminded a dying world what it means to feel. My people forgot love. You brought it back. Wherever you go, keep building. In every log, every word, every act of kindness, and you will build us again." The image faded slowly, leaving only the child and the light. Eli stood there, unable to speak. A tear rolled down his cheek. And for the first time, it wasn't from sorrow. It was from peace. A promise to keep. He looked at the boy. "What happens now?" The child smiled. "You go home. But not the old home. Build a new one. Here. This world needs a builder." Eli laughed softly. "A cabin under alien moons. She'd like that." He knelt down, eyes level with the boy's glowing face. "And you?" "I'll watch," the boy said. "From the light, when you build, I'll remember." Eli squeezed his hand one last time, then turned toward the tunnel leading upward. The light followed him, guiding his way. Under twin moons days later, the forest of Aphira stood alive again, where the old cabin had burned. Eli built another, stronger, taller, brighter. The blue trees swayed softly. The rivers glowed faint green at night. Every beam of wood carried a memory of her. Every spark of the fire whispered her name. Sometimes, when the wind blew just right, he heard two voices in the mist. One woman, one child, laughing together, and Eli Carter would smile, lift his head to the twin moons and whisper, "I kept my promise." One night as he sat by the fire, the stars above flickered. A streak of white light crossed the sky. Not a comet, but a ship. Eli narrowed his eyes. Earth transport? Then he heard it, the faint hum of engines growing louder. He stood, heart pounding. He wasn't alone anymore. But would the next humans bring hope or ruin? The night was quiet. Too quiet. Eli sat outside his cabin watching the twin moons reflect on the silver lake. The world had healed. The blue trees whispered gently. The glowing rivers sang for months. He had lived in peace, rebuilding, planting, teaching the land how to live again. But tonight, the stars moved. A bright streak crossed the sky, slicing through the clouds like a blade of light. He stood slowly, his breath freezing in the cold air. "That's no comet," he murmured. The sound reached him, distant engines. Human engines. A ship. The arrival by morning. The sky burned gold. From beyond the mountains, a silver craft descended, its shadow crawling across the forest. It landed near the old crash site, the place where Eli's life here had begun. The wind from its thrusters bent the trees. Eli watched from the ridge, his rifle slung across his back, though he hoped he wouldn't need it. The ship's hatch hissed open. Men and women in gray suits stepped out, scanning the air, the soil, the trees. Their helmets reflected the glowing forest like mirrors. A voice echoed from a loudspeaker. Human signature detected. Eli Carter, survivor of cargo vessel 27B, please respond. He froze. They'd come looking for him, after all this time. The meeting Eli walked out of the shadows and down the hill. The soldiers turned, weapons ready, then lowered them in disbelief. Sir? It's really you, one of them said. You've been missing for 4 years. Not missing, Eli said quietly. Just building. The commander stepped forward, visor lifted. Her eyes were sharp but curious. Building what? Eli glanced at the forest around him. The glowing trees, the rivers of light, the quiet hum in the air. Life, he said. Something we forgot how to do. She frowned, scanning her wrist device. Scanners show unnatural energy levels in this area. Radiation, maybe? Some kind of alien system under the ground. Eli's jaw tightened. That's not radiation. That's the heart. It keeps this world alive now. The heart? She asked. What are you talking about? Eli met her eyes. A world that feels. A world that remembers in the hidden light as they spoke. Soft green light began to pulse from beneath the ground, the forest responding to Eli's presence. The commander stepped back, alarmed. What the hell is that? Eli smiled faintly. It's listening. The soldiers looked around nervously as the trees glowed brighter. Leaves shimmered. The wind hummed like music. Then, a small orb of light floated down from the sky, landing beside Eli. It pulsed once, twice, then took the faint shape of a child. Liam. Eli knelt beside it. Hey, kid. The soldiers stared, speechless. The holographic boy turned to them, his voice calm and clear. Please do not fear. This planet is alive. It learns. It remembers love. One of the soldiers whispered, It's an AI. Eli shook his head. No, it's more than that. He looked at the commander. You can't take this world apart. You can't mine it, study it, or claim it. It's already home. For someone. Conflict of purpose. The commander's voice grew cold. Eli, this is a scientific find beyond anything we've ever seen. You can't stop us from collecting data. Eli stepped closer. You can't collect a soul, she frowned. A soul? It's a machine. Then so are we, Eli said. We just remember to feel. The air thickened. The forest darkened as if reacting to their argument. The wind grew stronger, the trees bending, whispering in 1,000 voices. The commander looked around nervously. What's happening? Eli sighed. It doesn't want to be taken. The choice. The child of light floated upward, glowing brighter. Eli, he said softly. The heart senses danger. Should we hide? Eli looked at the commander, at her fear, her confusion, her hunger for discovery, and then back at the forest that had become his home. He shook his head slowly. No, kid. We don't hide anymore. He turned to the humans. You came here looking for a survivor. You found one. But what survived wasn't just me. It was what you forgot. Kindness, patience, creation. If you want to stay, learn to build. If not, go back. The commander stared at him, silent for a long moment. Finally, she lowered her weapon. We came to rescue you, she said. But maybe you're the one rescuing us. Eli smiled faintly. Maybe. Rebirth. The heart pulsed again beneath their feet, soft and steady. The sky shimmered with light as the forest and the ship shared one rhythm, one breath. The soldiers removed their helmets, feeling the warm air for the first time. One of them whispered, It's beautiful. Eli looked up at the twin moons. This world doesn't need conquerors, he said. It needs builders. The commander looked at him. Then teach us, Eli nodded slowly. I will. Weeks later, the forest was full of human voices, laughing, working, rebuilding with care. Wood cabins stood beside alien trees. Humans planted crops in glowing soil, and every night when the stars appeared, small orbs of green light drifted between them, the spirits of the world watching in peace. Eli sat by the lake, carving wood with his knife. From the cabin window, he saw a flicker of soft light. Vera's outline for just a second. Smiling, then it faded into the stars. He smiled back. Still watching, huh? The child's voice answered softly through the wind, always. Builder. Eli looked out over the glowing forest, alive, human and alien together, and whispered, We built this. Log by log, the moons reflected on the lake, twin eyes shining down. The silence of the world was no longer empty. It was full of life. He built his cabin log by log, and the universe built a heart around it.